everyone. So I think a few more people have now rejoined after our short break. I hope everyone enjoyed the first two talks of this morning. I personally loved both Amy's and Chloe's really insightful talks, and unbelievable really to think that both of those were their debut speaking opportunities. So yeah, both of the girls smashed it this morning. We now have another hour of sessions, with the first being from Alex Jones. Alex, are you there at all?
I am indeed.
Perfect. Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. So today, Alex is going to be giving us a digital PR's guide to landing links in regionals and red tops. So for those of you who don't know, Alex is the PR director at Motive PR, which is a digital PR agency based in Nottingham, and has worked on clients including Muscle Food, Public Desire, and more. And Alex says when he's not talking about links, he's probably talking about Everton Football Club. So on that note, we'll be handing over to Alex, who'll be sharing his guide to landing links in regionals.
Awesome. Sorry for any Spurs fans out there. Let me just share my screen with you. Can you all see that now?
Yes.
Can you see my deck, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. So thanks for having me. Talks this morning were great. I'm Alex, and today I'm going to be talking about landing links in regionals and red tops, or I guess the more tabloid facing media. A bit about me. I graduated in PR in 2013. I got an entry-level job in a traditional PR agency. I think like Chloe, I earned my stripes in traditional PR. Calling in for features when that was a thing, writing press releases, setting up meeting rooms. But then I realized that the world was going more online and more digital. So I made the jump to a digital marketing agency where I worked in the PR team. And then over time, I myself head of earned media and head of PR, where I ran a team of 7, looking after 50 odd clients at a time. And then in the midst of a global pandemic, I decided to mix up and move to Motive for a more consumer facing PR role as PR director. And I'm having a lot of fun. Last year's been wicked. Been nominated for a few awards in my time. I didn't win any of them, but I've been shortlisted for Young Communicator and Young Professional for the South and London as well. And on the left-hand side, that's a bit of personality, I guess, adding to the deck. That's me doing a triathlon in 2013, 2014 for a client. The point there being sometimes in PR, you've got to roll up your sleeves and just get stuff done and perhaps do a triathlon in my case. Agenda. So what we're going to be speaking about today, the state of play as PR, as I see it from a PR perspective. There's a lot of chat about content syndication online as well. So I'm going to be touching upon that from, again, my own personal opinion and my perspective. And then we're going to look at ideation, creation, promotion tips. Now, working in agencies and stuff, a lot of people can overcomplicate the digital PR process, from insights departments to creative departments to SEO to PPC to account managers. There's a lot of people involved. Actually, in my opinion, come up with a great idea, create that idea, and then promote that idea effectively. And that's the 3 steps to good PR. And then we'll round off with some takeaways at the end. Disclaimer, there's going to be some tips, hints, advice, bits in here you might already know. It's difficult to frame this deck for everybody at all different skill levels in PR. What I've done is I've done it quite simple, and I broke it down in lots of little steps and actionable tips and advice. And I guess at the end of the day, if some of you change up how you come up with ideas, some of you change up how you write, some of you have more success in some of your promotion and outreach methods, then I guess I've done my job. So the state of play as I see it now, I just want to start off by saying props to all digital PRs out there. It can be tough at times. You are juggling clients, internal departments, journalists. You're doing coverage searches, coming up with ideas, creating ideas, promoting ideas, managing responses, compiling coverage reports, quarterly reviews, all while getting a lot of no's and a lot of rejections. So I wanted to say, well done to everyone working digital PR, because it's a growing industry. There is work out there, and I look on Twitter, and I look on LinkedIn, and there are some fab campaigns, some fab stories being pushed out by all our peers in the industry. So I'd encourage following all digital PR example Twitters and so on, because there's some really cool stuff. So I just wanted to say, well done. And this image is there because I feel like digital PR is arguably the front line of marketing. Now, the SEO teams might disagree, but for me, we are on the front line, you know, managing that offsite from client to consumer or customer relationship. If you work in PR, you see stuff like this all the time. Mainly trade, mainly bloggers and B2B facing media, but what was previously editorially driven decision making is now being monetized. And so for digital PRs, we need to bypass this and overcome this. And one way of doing that is naturally shifting towards the more news-led media, which is regional news and national news and tabloid-facing media, because they are still led by actually the newsline, the hook and the story, rather than trying to monetize it. So that's why this talk is on regionals and red tops. Now, content syndication. There's a lot of chatter online. SEO will have a different opinion to a lot of PRs. I understand that and get that, but I'm going to talk at it from a PR perspective. Looking at backlinks, we know what makes the needle tick: high DR, new domains, relevancy, branded or exact match anchor text going through to the right page to boost, you know, we all know this. And there's a lot that goes into links, from link velocity, image links, link location, freshness of links. Links are so much going on. And I also know when reporting on links, you can look at assisted conversions and all the data-led insights as well. But when I look at my PR reports month by month, I break it down and look at three main things. That is quality of links, the metric there's DR. That is relevancy of links, which is obviously there has to be a link to the client, and also quantity of links. Now, one of the easiest tools in the PR toolbox to get the quantity of links is hitting regionals and some of the nationals as well, because I guess there are scraping sites and so on. And personally, I think this is wicked. I think we should encourage to try and get regional links across all of our clients for a number of reasons. Basically, you're getting eyes on your content. My auntie reads Wales Online. She's based in Criccieth. My uncle reads the Liverpool Echo. He's based in Liverpool. I've read the Nottingham Post. When I was at university in Sheffield, the thought of getting coverage in the Sheffield Telegraph would have been awesome for me as a student. So actually, there's eyes on your content when you are getting syndicated across multiple regional outlets. So from my perspective, that's only ever a good thing. Reach, Yahoo, Associated Press, Johnson's Press, they all syndicate and they all publish the same content across multiple media. This isn't new stuff that's going on. And it holds a tremendous amount of benefit. Now, we're in a fast-paced industry, and I had to edit my deck last night because just yesterday, Google News Showcase was launched. Now, what they've done is sign partnerships with a lot of the big publishing houses to showcase a lot of their news on the Google Showcase. As you can see on the right-hand side, this includes regional media as well. So this indicates to us as digital PRs that actually Google is backing the regionals and backing a lot of the UK publishing houses and giving it a boost and is behind it. So why would we not want to get coverage and links in those media? Benefits, obviously, you earn links. Sometimes it can be a bit of a lottery, I'll be honest. Sometimes you outreach and you get a brand mention, sometimes you get a no follow, and sometimes you get a follow. Over time, you'll know roughly who the journalists are to go to, like Sue. Can I say Sue Wilkinson? She's a good one to go to. But go to the people you know that are likely to link in. And over time, you'll know which ones to go to and do it. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, a no follow still holds tremendous value. As James mentioned in the break, it's seen as a hint rather than a direct signal. Authority and presence is obviously increased because the more your brand is mentioned and cited online, the better, and increased traffic. Regional, you don't get loads of referral traffic, I'll be honest, but you might get some link equity in the nationals, one good link in the nationals, and you get loads of traffic. So that's why I would argue the case for content syndication being a good thing. Cool, so ideation. This is more actionable steps and insight now that I've set the scene. And when you could take journalists out for a panini and a coffee, when we're allowed to, I did, and I spoke to a regional journalist, and they said that one of their KPIs, key performance metrics, is how many shares their content's getting and how much it generates. So as a PR, we need to give them stories or give them news or give them information that is shareable. We need to help them meet their KPIs as such. So always remember, is your story shareable, sorry. And then there's a few different kind of questions to ask that can kind of validate your ideas and what works. So we as Motive always ask ourselves when we're coming up with ideas, is the story newsworthy? Does it pass the so what test? Is the story relevant? Is it unique? What I mean by unique, is it first, biggest, longest, highest, lowest? What's special about it? Does it have purpose? Does it engage, advise, entertain, add value? If it does 2 or 3 of those things, then you're probably onto a winner. And obviously, is it shareable? So whenever you come up with an idea, and before you start penning down your actual content, ask yourself these questions, because these are really important to understand and know if the content that you do will work. And then there's content type. I think in one of the previous talks, we talked about content formats and so on. What I would say is ideas trump everything. Ideas trump budget, ideas trump department, ideas trump content format. What I mean by that is, don't think, oh, I want to do a floor plan. Let's shoehorn an idea into a floor plan and go. The idea is the driving force behind pretty much everything you do. It has to be the forefront of your mind and the focal point of your activity. What works? Top in regional and nationals. Top 10s always work. Listicles always work. How-tos always work. There's always been people searching how to do stuff on the internet. Picture-led stories for some of the nationals, such as Daily Mail Travel, I know is very picture-led. Data reveal, data viz, all that stuff's really, really good. Original research, ask your client what assets they've got that you can access. And then as one of the previous talks, I think it was Amy mentioned, don't forget your reactive opportunities. I'd say look to your bank of existing content. When it's cold weather, do your cold weather content. Don't forget your linkable asset. We want links at the end of the day. I think most people on the conference would know what a linkable asset is. If you've got a piece of data, put it on your client's site, do your really strong story, and then encourage that link back to your client's website. And that's one really good way of trying to get those links, those all important links. They should be audience focused, these linkable assets, not brand focused. So think about the media's audience rather than your client's main customer base. Have you got any clients watching? This isn't necessarily about you, but don't be too product or service focused. A lot of clients want to push their brand and push their products and push their service. Actually, we do, as digital PRs, often need to step outside of that, maybe once or maybe twice, to cast our net wider with the type of content we can talk about. So I would encourage don't be too product service focused, because you'll be seen as more advertorial rather than editorial. Very quickly, an ideation session technique that I'd probably recommend giving a go is Crazy Eights. Especially in lockdown, working remotely for efficiency. This is a really quick way of getting lots of ideas down on paper. Fold your paper into 8, someone briefing the purpose. This is for link acquisition in the regionals. We want to talk about X, Y, Z. We need ideas on this topic. 8 minutes, time it, 8 ideas. Then go through one by one. So Abby will report back to me and I'll go, okay, I like 1, 4, and 6. Abby will know 1, 4, 6. And what we're doing is we're validating each other's ideas. We've got 8 ideas each. Let's say there's 3 of us, that's 24. 24 ideas is good for volume, but what we're doing is we're then validating them. Maybe we have a top 3 each, which means we've got some really strong ideas then to really push to that creation stage. Give it a go. It's good fun as well sometimes. And finally, play around on the internet. In previous roles, I've encouraged my team every Friday just to spend half an hour messing about. It doesn't matter. I want people to go into TikTok, go into Reddit, get into the holes of the internet and find. This is one that I love. I don't know why I love it. Perhaps someone can tweet me afterwards and let me know they love it as well. But this is a coral mind map of rush hour across all UK major cities. I don't really know what the purpose is, but it fascinates me. I think it's a really wicked piece of content. And this was just found just trawling the internet. So trawl the internet and find cool ideas that inspire you. There's loads and loads. Get on BuzzSumo as well. So creation tips. I'm going to big up the MD of Motive, Steve, here a little bit. He worked in Daily Mirror's newsroom. He's probably seen more subject lines than I could even think of in my lifetime. But what I've done is when I moved from a kind of more B2B facing PR role to a more consumer facing PR role, is a slight shift in the way you create and write your content from opinion, thought leadership, more to story, news-led kind of content. So I know a lot of the stuff already, but what I've done in the last year is I've tried to really refine my writing to make sure that I can get those regionals and get those national press covering me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with everybody what has worked for me and Motive in the last year when it comes to actually writing the content. First things first, the intro is king. Spend 3/4, 90% of your focus and time making sure that intro is SHIT hot. It needs to be the best it can be. It's the most crucial bit of information. It's what will grab the journo's attention, and it's what, don't leave your key points till later down. Don't delay drop. What I mean by that is don't start writing and leading and then give the hook the angle a couple of lines or paragraphs down. Some agents, some news can do that if they've got a captive audience, like Daily Mail, for example, has a captive audience, so they could probably wait a little bit and then deliver the angle. But actually, for regionals and for a lot of the tabloid press, we want that hook and angle bang in that very first paragraph. So the intro is super, super, super important, and you need to get it right. Headline. I'm not going to tell you how to do a headline as such, but try and keep it to 10 words, try and avoid repetition, and ask yourself, will this encourage clicks? Because we need people to click on our headlines. So that's just very quick advice on headlines. All stories should have quotes in from clients. Have information in the quote that adds and complements the story. And that will encourage the journalist to Control-C, Control-V that over. And more often than not, this is where you actually get that brand mention in that link, because it's a spokesperson for the client that comes in at this point. So make sure you're linking every single client mentioned throughout your copy, because quite a lot of the time they do just copy and paste it over. This is a big one. One sentence paras. We want to break down the text into digestible pieces. We want to have white space because it's easier to follow, easier to edit, and for some cases, easier to cut. We want a smooth flow of information, one to the next, to the next, to the next, all the way down the piece of content we're writing. In previous roles, and when I was doing more thought leadership, I would do real chunky paragraphs. Actually, if I'm a journalist, I want to be able to scan a piece of copy and see what is the interesting insights, and then I want to transfer over to the website. So try and break down your copy into one sentence paragraphs, or give breaks in your text a bit more frequently. It's a really good tip, that. 500 words is fine. My mum, my lecturer, previous managers have told me I have some fluff in my writing. Try and cut the fluff. Sometimes it's hard to do, but really break it down to the cleanest it can be. If you need to add more, a client descriptor, latest product, put it in the notes to editors. They probably won't use it, but it might get enough to get sign off from the client. But try and keep it sharp and succinct. And we do have creative license to be emotive. We want people to feel stuff when they're reading our content. So think about trigger words: warning, discover, reveal, proven, trustworthy. Use the kind of language that can really hit the average Joe, I guess. They're the ones going to be reading the content. So we want to be hitting the average person in the UK. So use really cool, emotive language, and that'll get in front of them. Okie dokie. So we've come up with an idea, we validated it, we've created a really tight piece of written work that we're going to push out to press now. Now we're going to look at promotion tips. Subject line, like Ronseal, it needs to say what it does on the tin. This is some recent outreach we've done here. Story idea, story suggestion, travel trend, Brexit issues, hair transplant available for comment. Literally, if I'm a journalist and I've got an inbox and I see these, I know what it is that the PR is pitching me. I don't want to have to try and work it out. It's not an episode of The Crystal Maze and trying to click in and work out what the deal is. In your subject line, just say what it is and perhaps do the headline in it as well. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't use emojis, rhetorical questions and so on. Just say what it is. That way, you're not going to waste anyone's time. Make life as easy as possible for the journalists. Again, in your pitching, there's talk online about good morning, hope you're well. I do that sometimes. It's really nice to try and build a rapport, but just make sure the main point is your intro and your summaries there at the forefront. They know what it is. Summarize your main hooks and angles. The main thing is to give them everything in one go, in one email. Data, visuals, Dropbox, links, everything in that one initial email. And then paste the story below. I wouldn't do an attachment. It's just another barrier for a journalist to try and read. You don't want to have to click on it, download it, open Word or whatever drive. So just paste it below in your actual email as well. That way they can just copy and paste it over. And then a bit more on the pitch and how it might potentially flow is summarize the story, then have your who, what, where, why, when's, all the really important points. You want to kind of explore the hook and angle so they know what it is that you're pitching, and then you want to hammer the angle home, so reinforce it again further. This is a pitch that was successful because we got a load of press on Christmas trees and a shortage over Christmas. And as you can see, it's a survey reveals 1 in 5, 53%, and we're really hammering home the data and stats and what it means. Media lists, people do it in different ways, and what works for your agency, what works for your agency. This is what works for us, so I'm going to pass it on. What I'd say is go to existing contacts first. As I mentioned earlier, Sue Wilkinson's a great one that I work with. Again, I probably shouldn't say her name, but I have done. Go to the people you know will publish your content. See if that works. Step 2, research similar content that's out there in the space in the national. So Daily Mail, cold weather or whatever. And if there's any cold weather content, then go to them with that and prospect them that way. And then step 3, look at that specific piece of content and create a media list through a platform, Cision, Vuleo, whatever you're using, to create a media list and then push that out to that. And then step 4, there might be some generic. I've got one that's just regional media. I just click that and blast it out to them. And I get a lot of success from that, actually. So perhaps have generic living lists that you keep up to date with all the latest regional media and national media. Oh, Amy's going to kill me. Sorry, Amy. I know you said you only follow up once, but I would probably encourage following up a few more times. We're quite tenacious in our follow-up and outreach. So we issue it once. We'll probably wait a day or two, perhaps. Then we follow up. And then we do our coverage searches and see if it's any take up. Then we follow up again. And we do keep working it. We change the line sometimes, we change the subject line, but we are quite tenacious and we keep pushing stories until they do hit. This example's Fresh Air campaign we did over Christmas, Bottled Air. It was all over Twitter. It was quite a successful piece of content for us. I pushed it once, pushed it twice, and on the 3rd time I got regionals. Great, but I wanted nationals. So I thought, okay, let's slightly pivot the hook and angle a little bit and look to more UK based rather than worldwide. And then I pushed it out again and again and again. So I must have pushed that story 6, 7, 8 times. And it got success. We got 150 links from it, you know. So actually keep following up and be tenacious in your outreach because it does work. And if you're still struggling, I'm just conscious of time here, so I'm almost done. Abby, I'll be done in a moment. If you've done all those tips I've done so far and you're still struggling to get placed, perhaps have a think about how you can influence the journalist a bit better. Robert Cialdini, this was a talk I went to ages ago. He's got some influence factors. So these are a few that you might want to consider. Scarcity. So if there's less of something, more people want it. So perhaps offer exclusivity on your content and say to the journalist, it's a limited, I'm coming to you first on it, blah, 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 blah. Consistency. If someone's doing the same thing, and I'm covering XYZ, journalists covering XYZ, we need to give them content XYZ. So in your pitch, say, I've seen you've done XYZ, here's more XYZ. Authority, maybe look to your data. Can you add a data source to it? Can you go to a university and get a person of influence into it? You know, try and bulk up your content with more authority. Consensus. So let's say Motive PR's in the Mail, the Mirror, the Sun, but it's not in the Star. We'd say to the Star, look, we're in the Mirror, the Sun, whatever, everyone else has done it, us do it as well. And then we're likely to do it. And then likability, this is more the relationship building side of things. If people like you, they like Alex Jones, and Sue Wilkinson won't like me after this, but if they like you, they're more likely to publish your content. So make sure you're really likable and you're building those. And he's saying thank you for the LinkedIn coverage you're getting, because you always might want to go back to that same person. So key takeaways. Syndicated coverage right at the start of this talk is good. It offers value. So it should be a really, really important tool in the PR toolkit. So make sure we are doing that. Intro is so important. So make sure it's tight. Make sure it's SHIT hot. It needs to be tight and hot. And then be tenacious in your outreach. I would encourage, keep going, keep working the angles. Maybe have a second or third angle underneath to see if you can shift and pivot halfway through your outreach if it's not being successful. But honestly, journalists miss it first time, miss it second time. And if they hit it third time, then you've done your job well. And so that's me. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you for your time.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. That was really, really good. Lots of really great insights there for everyone to take from that. So we've already got a load of questions coming through for you. So the first being, do you think that ring-arounds still work? So I presume this means sort of ringing journalists.
Oh, I've not done a ring-around in a few years now. But that's not to say it's not worth considering. I think this is kind of been affected by the pandemic and working from home. You could previously call a news desk and kind of follow up on a story. And if you're really struggling to get it placed, then it might perhaps be a good idea. I wouldn't at the moment, to be honest, because people are working from home on mobiles. maybe when we're back in the offices afterwards, because I hope we all will be at some point, it might be worth getting on the phones, but I haven't for a couple of years. It's not really affected my links or coverage. So I'd only ever encourage it if you're really struggling and you've exhausted all other options.
Yeah, okay, that's a good tip. Thank you. So another question here. At times, too many follow-up emails can annoy people and journalists. How do you try and strike the balance and avoid doing this?
It is a balancing act. What I would say is if they come back and say, can you please remove me, this isn't relevant to me, then that's fine. Journalists get emails and pitches. They get 100 inboxes in their inbox. I think one extra one from Alex isn't going to hurt. And if it means that I'm more likely to get on their eye and their contact, then that's fine. I think journalists, and the Q&A might reveal this, they've got quite thick skin as well. So they'll just move on if it's not relevant. I wouldn't worry too much about being annoying with your follow-ups. Just go for it. You don't ask, you don't get, hey?
Yeah, that's very true. That is very true. So moving on then, so someone's asked, can you talk us through how you validate your ideas after ideation? So do you go on to sort of build a seeding list straight after you validated, or what does that process sort of look like?
Yeah, kind of. Let's say we've got 2 ideas for a client a month, we put it into our planning sheet and we have a look. And what we start doing before we start putting pen to paper is seeing what other content's out there. Is there a content gap on any of the media websites? Is there any extra data? How can this look in practice? And it's literally, I guess, I give ownership of this to the PR members of the team to do their research investigation and see if that story will be successful and it's not been done before. So the validation afterwards, I guess we're validated by peers as a team. We all think these are our best ideas for this month. So we've already done that validation already. We know what works. If it answers those questions, advise, engage, entertain, add value at some point. If you're doing these things with your ideas, then they're likely to be successful. Then it's a case of each individual member doing it. And it's not unusual for someone to say, actually, Alex, I've looked at this and it's a bit of a struggle, or it's not got any legs. And then we'll go, okay, let's go in and we go again and we keep working it. So I guess just researching it and working it is your best way of really knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So one of them being, how do you articulate the value of no follow links to clients when taking on a regional focused campaign?
Oh, goodness. Probably direct them to Google's webmaster blog that says no follow links.
The classic screenshot that we all use.
Yeah, what I try and say is I've done some blogs and stuff on kind of link profiles and stuff like that. You need a balanced and varied link profile. You need low DA, high DA, no follow. It needs to be a well-rounded link profile.
Yeah.
And for me to kind of communicate the value of no follow links to clients, we need to say, listen, we are getting your follow links as well, but this no follow links still holds value because it's seen as a hint. It's cited on the internet. If it's in the national, for example, you are going to get some referral traffic. And overall, looking at the bigger picture of your backlink profile, it adds value, and it does. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say it adds value. And that's usually enough. But obviously everyone wants, the holy grail of links is to follow high DRs, new domains. Everyone wants that. But sometimes I say brand mentions are wicked. Honestly, I think brand mentions are holding more and more weight. And the future of PR is just publishing good content online. Even if it is a brand mention, it will still be seen by Google and still be seeing your website in a good light or your brand in a good light online. So I think no follow and follow is kind of blurring a little bit, but I say it still holds a lot of value, no follow links.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's just about highlighting that sort of PR value as well as the SEO value as well.
Absolutely.
So final question then, do you have any favorite kinds of stories or data sets that allow you to create those really strong regional stories?
Yes, ONS has a lot of data that you can regionalize if you want to play different regions off each other. Regions love talking and hating about each other's and where they stand in the regional map of the UK. So you can get ONS data on like electricity usage across the UK or stuff. Statista is quite a good one as well, but I think that's a paid subscription. And outside of that, just there's no kind of substitute for just Googling and researching, I guess. And just finding your data points that way. And then going from there with it. Yeah,
perfect. Well, thank you so much for your talk. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed that. It was really insightful. Yeah, you can reach Alex on Twitter for any more questions and further chats and stuff like that. But for now, thanks very much, Alex.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of the day, everybody.